I really represent an energy instead of an entity, and it's never the same. There are attributes of it that you've come to expect, but it's never the same. If you've noticed, this energy grows in intensity over time as the human allows the portal of awareness to open bigger. The largest part of this process is yours, for you won't receive any of the energy unless you try to match what he is doing within your own awareness. This is thrilling to me not for reasons of ego, but just the opposite. Each one of these scholarly, scientific revelations makes it more and more clear to me that I had very little to do with the nature or the quality of the material in my dialogue with God. I've known that all along, of course, but these constant revelations confirm it. They confirm it by telling me things that I could not possibly have known on my own. Even if you feel like you are doing nothing, know that just the presence of your state of consciousness is helping to lift the world collective. We are assisting Earth's ascension process from this side, but you have the more difficult job of working in it while not of it. This message is about trust. You came to Earth filled with hope and excitement, confident that you were well prepared to play a role in Earth's ascension process, but after years of waiting with seemingly no change. Many of you are finding that your trust in the process is waning. Ask yourself, have you put your trust in three-dimensional concepts about the ascension process, how it would or should look, unfold, and when? He opens the doors as wide as he can, and this gives an allowance of information to come through a sacred, personal portal. As my partner channels, the information passes through his higher self. And that is the meld that you see now. It is his style and is what he allows, what he permits with his consciousness. You are asked to do the same. This then generates still another energy, which is called the third language. We've mentioned this process many times before. It's the language of catalytic energy. It's important that you hear his voice. Did you realize that? Even if you don't understand his language. For within the audio are the actual vibrations in the air and a catalytic language of spirit, which is energy in the room. It is felt, and it rides on top of whatever it is you are perceiving as the message here that is linear. There are many dimensions of experience available to us that our ego-conscious self knows little, if anything, about, including our own identity and essence. Our ego consciousness operates in the mind and is mostly unaware of our heart consciousness and the workings of our subconscious. It is mostly through our subconscious that we may be aware of certain promptings in our inner knowing. Our subconscious participates in unlimited consciousness. It provides infinite awareness to us, but we receive only as much as our beliefs about ourselves allow. Our beliefs set the limits of what we allow ourselves to realize as reality. Without belief in personal limitations, we can be aware of our essence, which is our conscious present awareness, including our connection to universal consciousness. Ascension energy is presently being experienced by most as the weakening of trust. The majority has always held for government, healthcare, education, and religious leaders, which indicates collective awakening and personal empowerment. Waning trust in and the questioning of long-established authorities, however subtle, is a sign of change and awakening the ascension process. Even the spiritually awake may be tempted to lose trust when looking out at a world of chaos, war, increasing acts of violence, natural disasters, and leaders more focused on getting re-elected and playing king of the castle than working for the good of those they were elected to serve. You may ask, was I wrong about all this? Is there really a divine plan? Is Earth really ascending to a higher dimension? You are spiritually ready and prepared for the work you came to do, which is to live in the three-dimensional world. But not be of it through a consciousness that understands that the negativity now rampant around the world indicates the presence of high-frequency light breaking down much that has held mankind in bondage. So that is what you feel now. Dear ones, if you allow yourselves to feel tonight, the highly intellectual and the academic humans who are here may choose not to feel. They may choose not to involve any emotion at all. And if that's the case, there's no judgment of that. But in their process, they put a barrier between a beautiful thing and themselves. How many of you can allow the portal to open and absorb this simple message? Those who do will receive all the energy that is given, and some of it may actually be a healing energy. This is not going to be an endurance channel. Instead, it's going to be a sweet punctuation mark on a beautiful 2 days together. What is it you're going to take away from our time together? Memories? Perhaps there be more? In a multidimensional state, you can carry energies out the door with you that you didn't bring in. They are appropriate, light, and can be life-changing as you consider the ideas of who you really are. In the process of channeling, my information teaches mastery. The lecture today that my partner gave is one where we gave concepts to show you that there is a restraint on your thinking. However, even with this bias, many of you are ready to open this multidimensional door wider. So in these few remaining moments, I'm going to give a simple message. I'm going to call it this: the secret of mastery. It includes awareness within our entire subconscious and the intelligence of our heart. The conscious connection with our guides and angels and the consciousness of the being who constantly creates us. In the flow of conscious life force with the gift of free choice in expressing our personal energy. We create experiences that we share with all conscious beings through our awareness. The greater our awareness, the more clearly directed we can be in our choices. The extent of our awareness is actually a choice on our part. We are created to be creative and to create experiences within our awareness. In our current spectrum of reality, we have agreed to participate in a convincing world of empirical duality that we have allowed to fill our awareness. To be able to open our awareness beyond this realm, we can learn to pay attention to our inner knowing. There are many ways to do this. We can breathe deeply and rhythmically while imagining that we are expanding infinitely in awareness. We can follow our natural inclinations to want to live in love, joy, abundance, and freedom. These are all included in our conscious life force. We are fully provided for in every way that we could want. We just have to realize this. Since we have created subconscious limits for our awareness, we can also unlimit ourselves. If we are intent on opening our awareness to infinite consciousness, and we are receptive, the realization comes to us through our intuition. By deepening our focus, while continuing to follow our inner knowing, we can penetrate the limits we have lived within. We can be inspired to live in gratitude and joyful confidence. Temples built on sand must crumble and dissolve both within and without in order for that which is of a new and higher resonance to replace them. The habit of interpreting world issues as being three-dimensional problems having nothing to do with the ascension process remains strong. Release any concepts about how things should or should not be because the human mind is unable to see the bigger picture. Stand in the light of your highest spiritual awareness and simply observe. High-frequency energies pouring to Earth at this time, as well as those you automatically carry with you in consciousness, are serving to break apart that which is out of alignment with them. This means that many traditions, beliefs, and many so-called right ways are and will continue to collapse. False beliefs are created, held in place, and maintained only through the belief in them and never by God. As increasingly more awakened to oneness and the higher truths, much that has been created from beliefs of duality, separation, and two powers will simply fade away. You may wonder about so many natural disasters, but remember, Earth is a living soul who must also clear pockets of lower resonating and dense energy. What does this really mean to you? Who is a master to you? Is it possible that you might change yourself to the degree where you could say, I have mastery? What does that mean in your life? Well, perhaps some of you have looked at the Cryon work for answers. 21 years ago, I gave you a concept of an energy that was called an implant. At that time, my partner told me that it was not a good word to use, for many times humans believed this to be an evil thing. It made many back up and look at it and examine it. What is it? They would say. Some were afraid of it and many ran the other way, never examining what it might represent. Some even burned the Cryon books. This is exactly the reaction we wanted, much to the dismay of my partner. But it was appropriate because once a human accepts it, it starts a process of epiphany. After all these years, it is now defined as the implementation of permission to shift. Maybe some of you did that. Perhaps you gave that spiritual permission and things started to change. Many did. Maybe now you're one who did that and is sitting here, and you now know this implant must be the secret to mastery. For it started a massive change in me, and here I sit today with full knowledge of my spiritual quest. Cryon, is that the secret to mastery? No, that is just an intuitive step. The implant was a good process to start with back then. For it involved that thing you hear so many times, pure intent to shift and allowance of spiritual change. It is helpful to ground our connection with Gaia. We can be alone and barefoot in nature, especially in inspiring, beautiful and majestic places. We can listen to the birds and other creatures in the forests, feel the energy of the trees and immerse ourselves in wild water. It can be helpful to listen within the silence of the high mountains and tune into the sounds and melodies of the planes of existence. Greatness is available to all of us in our own essence. To realize this, we can open ourselves to it and invite it into our awareness. We can imagine the energetics of beings of light and love. We are those beings when we realize our true identity and infinite creative ability. We can transform ourselves into knowing our essence and expressing our true self-realization. A second and important point with regard to natural disasters is that for many they are an introduction to the idea of oneness. They often serve to open the hearts and minds of those who have believed themselves to be separate from the problems or needs of others. For the first time, they are beginning to take notice, acknowledge, and even assist the needs and struggles of others. It may well be their first step in opening to oneness. Everything embodied in divine consciousness is held infinitely in place by divine law, which cannot be broken or changed. If lack, disease, limitation, or discords of any kind were embodied in divine consciousness, they would automatically exist forever, held in place by divine law, and never able to be changed or be healed. This is why it is foolish and in fact idolatry to beg, pray, or make sacrifices to some three-dimensional concept of God in an attempt to get him to fix. heal, and change something that does not even exist in reality and simply gives more energy to the illusion.